The following is a live presentation of CBC Sports. The best of Canadian professional football. The CFL on CBC. Welcome to Carling O'Keefe, CFL football. And now, for all the action, let's join our CBC commentary team.
On this cool September evening at McMahon Stadium in Calgary, it's an important ball game for both the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Calgary Stampeders. The Bombers attempting to move into a second-place tie in the West with Edmonton and put 4 points between themselves and Calgary. The Stampeders trying to create a tie for third place in the West with Winnipeg. Hi everyone, I'm Don Whitman. There's a chill in the air and the forecast provides a reminder that those pleasant days of summer will soon be nothing more than a memory. They're calling for rain, possibly turning to snow later tonight. Ron Lancaster, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Calgary Stampeders won't be too happy if it snows, but at times I'm sure this year Cal Murphy thought it was snowing on his football team. He has lost 3 key people as the result of injuries.
He sure has, and you know the success of any football team in the Canadian League is how they adjust to these injuries. For instance, at quarterback, Tom Clements went down with a shoulder separation. They're very fortunate to have a veteran like John Hufnagel to step in and take over. Now, John proved last week that he can still play with the best of them, and the key, I think, for John Hufnagel is that the team has a lot of confidence in his ability. John knows his role with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He does his job very well.
On August 7th, Willard Reeves, the leading rusher for the past 2 years, went down. James Sykes, who was with the team all of last year but did not get into a single game, responded to the challenge.
Well, he sure did, and the big thing there is that Cal Murphy said, a running back needs to get hit to get into the game. He needs to play games to get into the season. He said at the press conference that the longer Sykes plays, the better he will perform.
Last week, he was great, 191 yards against Saskatchewan. Joe Poplawski also performed well last week, replacing place kicker Trevor Kennard, and so far in field goal attempts, Joe the Pop has hit on 3 of 4. But Cal Murphy is smiling a little tonight because Tyrone Jones, who has been out the last 2 games, is back in the lineup.
Well, I think everybody wants their gunners on defense back in there, but I think he's very fortunate to have some experience at quarterback with Jim Zorn coming in for injury. He has experience, not in the Canadian League, but it doesn't matter. And then Jeff Boyd, who had a great year last year, being back with the Bombers, but not able to crack the lineup.
Pretty tough assignment for Jeff Boyd to get into the lineup with Perry Tuttle and James Murphy playing so well. How does Bob Vespasiani react? Let's see if the Calgary coach is concerned.
Getting over last game. I think, you know, we obviously fell flat in our face in front of a sellout crowd, which they haven't had here in a number of years, and it was not a good experience at all, and it was felt deeply by everybody concerned. Certainly the fans, but felt more deeply by those of us whose business it is to put a competitive football team on the field, and of course the professional athletes as well. So that's the major thing, is that we've got to play much better than that, and we're a better football club than we showed on our last encounter.
I think most people will agree that the Stampeders are a better football team, but whether they're a better football team tonight will depend upon how Rick Johnson performs.
Well, as it always does, you know, he's the guy that they're building the future on here. He started like he was going to set the world on fire, but in the last 2 or 3 games, he struggled a little bit, and he is the key to their fortunes tonight.
And the Calgary Stampeders defensively have 2 people that they are counting upon to put pressure on quarterback John Hufnagel, Harold Hallman, and Vince Goldsmith.
Well, Hallman's a rookie out of Auburn, 12 quarterback sacks, Vince Goldsmith with 8.5. Now, they know where John Hufnagel is going to be. He doesn't have Clements' mobility. It's up to that defensive line to get to Hufnagel and get to him in a hurry. So with those 2, they need a little bit more help, though.
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers have not been a great team on the road over the past couple of years. At home, they're almost invincible. But this year, just 1 triumph away from Winnipeg Stadium.
Well, Cal Murphy has to be really happy when you have 5 wins and no losses at home. You should win at home. You've got to. But the key is to win on the road. You're going to play half of them on the road. You've got to come out of the blocks when you hit those visiting team stadiums, and this is a big one for him tonight.
Well, John Hufnagel gets his 2nd starting assignment as quarterback for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and you can't play much better than Hufnagel did last week against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, passing for 3 touchdowns and completing 22 passes in the process. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Calgary Stampeders are just about set to kick it off here at McMahon Stadium. Cool evening, the temperature just 7 degrees, and they are forecasting more showers for later this evening, possibly some snow, as J.T. Hay kicks it off for the Calgary Stampeders. Kevin Nealis on this kickoff return to the 33-yard line, and that's where Winnipeg will scrimmage, 1st and 10. Anthony Woodson was downfield to make the tackle.
Well, after the big game last week, John Hufnagel gets his 2nd consecutive start, and I know he'd like to pick up where he left off last week. Excellent set of receivers. Perry Tuttle's the guy that in the last time I saw him play in Saskatchewan put on a great performance. Up front, same offensive line, about 6.5 years experience. They can protect him.
From the 34-yard line, John Hufnagel, who will turn 35 on Saturday, gives to James Sykes, and he is wrapped up immediately by Garrett Dahl, newly inserted at that starting outside linebacking position.
Dave Ponder is a new person on the defensive line, just arrived from Buffalo. A little surprised that he got to play this fast. Those are his words. In the linebackers, as you saw, Garrett Dahl gets the opportunity to start, comes up with a big play on the first play of the game. In the secondary, Richie Hall has been the leader, 3 sacks, 3 interceptions.
A loss of 1 after that fine play by Dahl. It's 2nd and 11. Hufnagel pressured and dropped for a loss. Hallman pushes him all the way back, but Woodson was also blitzing from his linebacking position. And it's another sack for Harold Hallman. So the Blue Bombers are forced into a punting situation as the Calgary Stampeder defensive unit on the first offensive series really goes after the Blue Bomber offensive unit. And Bob Cameron stands back at his own 7-yard line for this first punt of the evening. They're after it, and he got it away just in time. It hangs up there and takes a bounce back towards the Winnipeg Blue Bomber zone, and Calgary Stampeders on their first offensive series will have excellent field position. The return by Gary Allen, the tackle made by James West. That kick traveled just 23 yards.
Well, we talked about Rick Johnson. He was the man that got him started off to a good start. He stumbled a little bit about halfway. Now it's time for him to come back. Ray Alexander now is really out in front as far as their best receivers with 55 receptions. And up front, a little bit younger than Winnipeg, but still big enough to do the job for Johnson.
Johnson throwing it out to Marshall Toner. He steps out of bounds at the 40-yard line. He was forced out by linebacker Delbert Fowler, and Cal Murphy has to be a little concerned about the way this football game has started for his team.
It's not great position to put this defense into. I mean, they've got to come up big right away. Tyrone Jones, as you see, finally back after his injury. And in the secondary, Benny Thompson, 2nd start for him. Big one, good hitter, about 6'2", 200 pounds.
Darrell Patterson getting set and ready for this 2nd and 7 play. A handoff to Allen. Allen cuts inside, and he fights his way to the 35-yard line. He's stopped there by linebacker James West. 3 members of that Winnipeg Blue Bomber team played a key role with the Stampeders over the years. Linebacker James West, number 58, and offensively quarterback John Hufnagel and running back James Sykes. 3rd and 2, and it appears as though the Stampeders are going to go after it.
Well, they have the wind at their back this quarter. Maybe they feel that they can gamble. If they don't miss it, they still have them in a pretty good hole.
Movement at the line of scrimmage, and it appeared as though there was a Calgary Stampeder jumping prior to that ball being snapped over on the left side of the line, and referee Jake Ireland indicates a procedure call against Calgary.
That's a full 2 yards, too. I was a little bit surprised. You know, most times teams will take the 3 points when they have the opportunity. Come out of there with something.
Ball moves back to the 40-yard line.
Procedure, Calgary number 65. 3rd down.
Sean McKeon jumped prior to the ball being snapped. And J.T. Hay will now attempt a field goal from 47 yards out. 12:06 is the time remaining in this opening quarter. This time movement at the line of scrimmage, but the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who had moved, got back onside. But it really didn't matter because J.T. Hay puts it through anyway, as the Stampeders are first on the board with a 47-yard field goal by that man, J.T. Hay. Calgary leads by 3. Cal Murphy, the head coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, wearing the headset. Assistant coach John Gregory, who looks after the offensive line. And on the other side of the field, a former co-coach with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, now the head man, Bob Vespasiani. He was with the Blue Bombers as an assistant before moving on to the British Columbia Lions as an assistant and then moving into the head coaching job here this year. Rick Johnson, Ron, you said partway through the season looked as though he might be a candidate for the Shenley Award. But then he had a couple of tough games where he completed only about 30% of his passes.
You know, there's an old saying in baseball that once around the league, the second time they hit you a little harder. You wonder if Rick Johnson in the early part of the season didn't get everything going his way. But then when you get enough film to study him, maybe he's starting to force the ball. Who knows? But he hasn't played as well of late.
First and 10 from the 35. Hufnagel for Perry Tuttle. He makes the catch for a Winnipeg first down. And he's brought down by Ron Hopkins.
Well, they like that play. They like to curl that wide receiver. We're going to see Hufnagel get his look. A little bit of a play action, not much. You'll see him clear through the middle and then just turn in. Tuttle turns into the hole, come back, catch the football. Pretty easy catch for him after seeing some of the catches he's made lately.
And according to John Hufnagel, Tuttle had a spectacular practice on Monday. Even had the players applauding. Screen pass to Sean Kehoe, and Sean Kehoe rips his way to the 40 of the Calgary Stampeders before being stopped by Greg Peterson.
This is almost ran the way you would draw it up on the board. If you just take a look and see how well it's set up out to the side, Sean Kehoe slips out. Look at the three white jerseys in front of him. Lau Bauer, Mark Moores, and Chris Walby will all be out there. They get him into the secondary, then just let him run.
A gain of 22 for Sean Kehoe at the 40-yard line of Calgary. First and 10, Winnipeg. A mix-up as John Hufnagel carries the ball. That mix-up proves to be rather successful as he gets almost 10 yards. Stopped by Anthony Woodson. John will be saying something, I'm sure, when he gets back to the huddle. He turned to give the ball to someone, and there's nobody there.
You saw him pointing to himself right there. I think he might have made the mistake because he was pointing over to the sideline. He's pointing at himself. The big thing about it, it wasn't pretty, but it was efficient. He got a lot of yardage.
He picked up a first down with a run of a little better than 10 inside the 30-yard line. The Blue Bombers trailing 3-0. Our first and 10. 10:04 is the time remaining in the opening quarter. Hufnagel throwing the out to James Murphy, and Murphy with a couple of good moves, and with his speed carries it inside the 10-yard line.
James Murphy is something when he gets his hands on the football. He's got soft hands, but watch it. This is the stop. Turn, face the quarterback. Big mistake. They didn't get over there fast enough, and he's got excellent speed, and he runs well. Trying to steal the ball. You see Greg Peterson try to get it. Murphy says, no way. I'm taking this down inside the 10.
We remind you that James Murphy will be featured at halftime in tonight's telecast. That's his 75th reception of the year. He's averaging 7.4 catches a game. Hufnagel with time. That ball is deflected. This could be a touchdown. Down the sidelines goes Jenkins. He'll get away from Hufnagel, and he's gone.
Well, how many times have we seen it, Don? The ball's tipped.
Just when it appeared as though the Winnipeg Blue Bombers were driving in for the major score, a 112-yard interception return by Mel Jenkins makes it 9-0 in favor of the Stampeders. And that's one football that Mel Jenkins doesn't appear to want to give up.
Well, we talked about things that go wrong, when things happen downfield. And the biggest thing a quarterback hates, or any offensive football player, is when that ball is tipped in the air. And it was just an under pattern where Murphy started up and then come back underneath, and the ball got hit, went up in the air, and away went Jenkins.
And once Jenkins put his hands on that football in the end zone, he had a wide open sideline, and he went the distance, 112 yards. Harold Hallman, the injured player, coming up.
We'll see a good look at it. What? The ball's thrown, but it's high and it's tipped. Watch it go up in the air. Now you got problems. When a guy catches it in the flat, that's bad enough, but with nobody there to chase him, Hufnagel doesn't have a chance. He doesn't have the speed that Jenkins has, and he's just off.
Jenkins, I'm sure his eyes lit up when he saw all that green between him and the goal line, and only John Hufnagel to get past. The point after by J.T. Hay, and the Calgary Stampeders jump in front by a score of 10-0 with 9:06 still to play in this opening quarter. Well, Mal Jenkins, the hero of the moment for the Calgary Stampeders, a University of Cincinnati product who specialized in track while in college, and it was obvious that he was very fleet of foot when he headed down those sidelines.
He had to be very happy, as you say, when he saw that open ground, and especially when he saw Hufnagel with the angle, couldn't get him, and once he cleared him, nobody else had a chance. And, you know, they're the lowest in the league with only 13 interceptions, and that's his second of the year, and that's a big one. What a time to get it.
Sure, Cal Murphy must be wondering if the fates are conspiring against him on the road on occasion this year. 11 turnovers in a game against the Hamilton Tiger Cats earlier in the season.
And, you know, they've had problems here in McMahon Stadium over the years against the Calgary Stampeders. Many times they came in here with a much better football team and lost.
J.T. Hay preparing to kick it off again. Sampson on the return, and he is spilled at the 33-yard line.
Darcy Cock got down the field in a hurry and got in behind that wedge and just cut the legs out from under. The thing I think Cal Murphy would have been telling John, you know, hey, they move the ball down the field, stay with the game plan, don't panic, just come out and approach it in a business-like manner and get the job done. There's plenty of time. There's no problems that way.
And this is an occasion where I'm sure Cal Murphy is happy that he has a veteran, experienced quarterback in there, one who won't panic, despite that 112-yard interception return. Whoa, he went to James Murphy again, and Jenkins almost had another interception, and had he picked it off, he was gone again.
Yeah, that ball was thrown a little bit late. And when you throw late out there, once that receiver makes his breaks, a defensive back like Jenkins, as soon as he makes the break, he's going to come for the football, and the ball is a little bit late getting there. But as you say, if he picks it off, it's 6 more.
2nd and 10 Winnipeg. The Blue Bombers are at their own 34-yard line. They trail 10-0. Drop play with James Sykes. He breaks 1 tackle, and then 3 red jerseys pile up on him at the 37-yard line, led by Eugene Beliveau.
Beliveau in there on the stop.
So Jamie Harris and Gary Allen drop back for this 3rd down punt by Bob Cameron. He will be kicking into that wind, and again, the Stampeders should get the ball in pretty good field position.
Yeah, I think they're all, the receivers are lined up awful deep for as strong as that wind was, but Cameron is a good punter against the wind. They had it about right.
Gary Allen takes it at the 37-yard line, fakes the reverse, gets an opening. Caught from behind and brought down by Darrell Sampson. A 36-yard kick by Bob Cameron, and Gary Allen with a run back of 32 with 7:55 left in the opening.
Well, they had it played right, a little fake of the reverse, and then he just finds a little bit of an opening. James West he makes a dive at him, gets part of him, but Sampson comes back to save the day, or Allen may have been gone again.
So the Stampeders, in what I'm sure their fans must feel is a turnaround from their Labor Day game against the Edmonton Eskimos when they fell behind early by a 14-0 score, have a chance to add to their 10-0 lead as Johnson drops back, throws over the middle, and Jamie Harris heads for the sidelines and is bounced out of bounds at the 35-yard line of Winnipeg by Benny Thompson.
You're going to watch him clear out. They clear it out underneath, and Harris comes from the wide receiver all the way into the middle, get in the quarterback's vision. You see Patterson and West, they had dropped back in a zone. That allows Harris to make the catch underneath, picks up about 8.5 yards.
Second down drop play with Allen. He's got a big hole. Penalty flag in the play as Allen is inside the 15. Stopped finally by Scott Flagel.
This is a weird flag. You know, this flag came down real late. Okay, roughing. It could be. I couldn't understand. You know, the play was on the other side of the field, and all of a sudden it came down.
So with the roughing penalty tacked on, that should take the Stampeders to the 7.5-yard line.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Winnipeg number 37. First down.
Well, Cal Murphy told us that Benny Thompson, the new defensive back, was a hitter, but I don't think he meant in that fashion.
The only thing I can figure is he really flattened Emmanuel Culver trying to come off the line. And I think that's what they called, because it was way on this side of the field. They were the only ones over here.
First and goal from the 7.5 Calgary, the Stampeders. With Allen throwing the pass, touchdown, wide open in the end zone, Alexander. There wasn't anybody within 10 yards of him as that play totally fooled the Winnipeg defensive unit. The handoff to Allen, and he threw the pass.
That did fool them, too, because we haven't seen Allen throw the ball yet, and I don't think anybody else has. Maybe this is why they closed their practices this week, but normally it's a run all the way. He just pulls it down, and I think Roy Bennett took his eye off Alexander, and Alexander, when he turned around, was gone, and he's wide open. No one near him, as you said.
16-0, the Stampeders lead. The point after by J.T. Hay. And we have only played half of this opening quarter, and Calgary is in front by a score of 17-0. Well, that man, Gary Allen, has certainly played a key role in what the Stampeders have done. He had a big punt return of 32 yards. He had a big run from scrimmage, and then he throws the touchdown pass to Ray Alexander.
Get another look at it. Looks like we see Bennett down here at the bottom of the screen. He drops back, but I think when Allen got the football, he might have took a peek into the backfield. And when you do that with a guy with Alexander's speed, don't expect him to be there when you turn around. And he wasn't. He was back in the end zone.
Ray Alexander out of Florida A&M, signed by the Stampeders as a free agent. He's been their leading receiver this season, and these Calgary Stampeders are certainly enjoying what has transpired through the first 8 minutes of this football game. On the other side of the field, not so enjoyable for that man.
Now they've got to play catch up, and that's tough to do. They've got to get through another 7 minutes. We're only halfway through the first quarter. The wind seems to have died down a little bit, but every now and then it gusts. And it's tough going against the wind, but he's got to get him going.
And the fans at McMahon Stadium, not the sellout crowd that was here on Labor Day, but about 27,000, certainly enjoying what they've seen so far. Darrell Sampson on the return simply had no room. He was forced out of bounds at the 31-yard line.
When he catches the football, he's got to make a decision whether he can get over behind his blockers into the wedge. And his decision was to catch it, go straight ahead, get what you can get out of bounds. It's not a bad move.
Trailing 3-0, it looked as though the Bombers were going to drive in for a touchdown. And then that interception in the end zone, 112 yards on the return from Mel Jenkins. And suddenly the Stampeders were off and running, and they added another touchdown by Alexander for their 17-0 lead. Huffnagel will try and get them back, an out pattern, and Terry Tuttle is forced out of bounds. He was being covered by Ron Hopkins, who protests to no avail that the receiver Tuttle was out of bounds.
I think what he's talking about is I don't think he thought Tuttle had complete possession when he went out of bounds. We'll get a good look at it. Well, he got it anyway. They
may have had a valid argument, but of course the officials don't have the benefit of the replay. Harry Tuttle swinging wide to the left. 2nd and 3. Huffnagel is buried by Harold Hallman. The ball pops loose, but I believe the whistle had gone.
Well, we talked about Hallman in the opening that this guy's a 6-footer, but about a 240-pound rookie out of Auburn University, and that's a defensive football team down in Auburn. Pat Dye, as people might remember, playing in the CFL as the coach here, and he likes defense. You're going to get a good look at him. He just finally gets inside of Nick Pastaya, and Hufnagel's in his path. He runs right over him. The ball came loose, as you said, but it was blown dead. But that's 2 sacks now for him. That's 14.
He's having a great rookie year. Harold Hallman, the defensive tackle of the Stampeders, as Bob Cameron kicks on 3rd down. Fumbled! Who's got it? Gary Allen couldn't hang on, and Mark Moores, the center, comes up with the football. A Bob Cameron kick that traveled 37 yards, and this might be the break that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers require to get back in the ball game with 5:52 left in the opening quarter. They trail by 17.
Well, you never know what's going to turn things around, and it takes a fumble like this. They gain 40 yards of field position. They have the chance to win and maybe get some points out of this. If you're a Calgary Stampeder fan, you were hoping to put it out of sight, but that's what this game's all about.
James Murphy wide right, Perry Tuttle off to the left. Hufnagel throwing deep down the sidelines. There's a penalty flag off the fingertips of James Murphy. He was being covered by Richie Hall and Mel Jenkins, but there was a penalty flag on the play. Interference, I believe. That's the signal from Jake Ireland, so that will provide Winnipeg with a 1st down.
Well, Mel Jenkins was very, very close to intercepting that quick out last time on Hufnagel, and he jumped the out again, and when Murphy turned upfield, I think he pushed him, and I think that's what they're going to call.
Forward pass interference. Calgary number 14. 1st down.
Inside. Oh, Larry Hogue for hitting Poplawski coming off the line. They're getting tough.
That moves the ball to the Calgary 32-yard line. 1st and 10, Winnipeg. 5:22 remaining in the opening quarter. Handoff to James Sykes. Sykes just keeps on fighting, and he'll have a gain of 11. That was tremendous effort on the part of James Sykes. He appeared to be stopped a couple of times, but it was not until Greg Peterson put his arms around him that the big running back was finally halted.
It almost looked like a little bit of a mix-up in the backfield, too. He didn't get a real clean handoff, and it was all, I really think, his effort, because I thought he was going to have the legs cut out from under him in the backfield. Stayed on balance and got 11 yards.
Well, he did that a couple of times last Friday against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, bouncing off attempted tackles. He had 1 run in that game of 57 yards.
I think people fail to remember, maybe, that he gained 1,000 yards in 3 of his 4 years here.
The reverse with James Murphy. He gets a block from Mark Moores, and he's inside the 5. Bernie Morrison finally took him out of bounds, but the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are now in scoring position. 1st on goal on that 16-yard reverse by James Murphy.
You know who does a good job here is watch the screen number 73 right here. Randy Faby blocking on that outside linebacker. When they come back around there, he's got to try to contain it. Faby did a good job and stayed with him, and that's what allowed Murphy to turn the corner.
1st and goal, Winnipeg from the 4-yard line. Bombers were down in this territory earlier in the quarter. They gave up that costly interception. This is James Sykes. As he tried to cut back inside, he slipped and fell in front of Bernie Morrison.
On good footing, he would have turned inside, and maybe, I don't know if he would have scored, but he lost his footing as he tried to cut inside. You watch him take the block. He's trying to follow Pat Cantner and Lyle Bauer, and as he plans to turn in on Bernie Morrison, he loses his footing, and down he goes. So they're still on the 4.
We had quite a downpour at about 4:30 this afternoon here at McMahon Stadium, and there is water laying in various parts of the field. On 2nd down, Hufnagel to throw into the end zone. Incomplete, intended for Perry Tuttle. Mel Jenkins was providing the coverage, and Cal Murphy is unhappy, and I think if the officials could hear him, he would be directing much of his venom their way.
I was watching this side of the field, and James Murphy was trying to run a pattern on Ron Hopkins, and Hopkins beat him around a little bit, and That's not a good sign for John Hufnagel to be going off the field limping, because now that calls on Tom Mickey or Jim Zorn, and Mickey's a rookie, and Zorn, as Cal said yesterday, didn't have a real good grasp of the offense, but we just hope Hufnagel is able to come back.
Joe Poplawski will attempt the field goal from 11 yards out. And he puts it through. So the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, with 3:15 remaining in this opening quarter, are finally on the board. As they the injured John Hufnagel, we might see Jim Zorn. Well, pacing over at that Winnipeg bench, Cal Murphy. He lets his emotions hang out during the course of a game, doesn't he?
Well, he certainly would have liked to see Poplawski get the opportunity to kick that field goal. And right now, you know, you're losing those chances. We're going to look at it, but just watch the ball where it is. See, Bobby Cameron's waiting on the snap. Wasn't that bad a snap. It just went right through his hands. I thought it was a little worse than that. I thought he had to reach behind him, but he just didn't handle it. Can't afford to pass up opportunities to score. They need all the points they can get in this quarter.
First and 10, Calgary. Snaps at their own 43-yard line. The pitch to Allen. Allen is trying to get outside, cuts back inside, and he has a gain of 8 yards. Scott Fuego finally brought down Gary Allen. 12 carries for 64 yards so far tonight. Trying to contain Gary Allen has been a problem for the Winnipeg defense.
It has been tough, and the times that Allen has been able to break it for yardage is when Winnipeg has not brought those linebackers.
Second and 2 from the 51. 8:23 left in the third quarter. 18-17, Calgary leading. The pitch to Allen again. This time, excellent penetration by Tyrone Jones, and he upset Gary Allen for a loss.
Boy, Tyrone Jones did do the job. Once again, he gets here with the back comes to try to cut him. He will jump right over the top of him. Watch it. Here comes Petrus to make the block. He just turns the corner, jumps over the side of him, makes a tackle in the backfield. That's the plays you have to have in this quarter.
Well, Glenn Harper has only been averaging 20 yards per kick.
He'll be lucky to get this one 20 yards again, too. Let's see what happens. Made the punt exciting.
Been a very integral part of tonight's football game. This time, an excellent boot that Scott Fuego takes at his own 25-yard line. Nowhere for him to go as the Stampeders had good downfield coverage, and it was Tom Spolatini who put the stop on Scott Fuego, and the Bombers are at their own 26.
While we have a moment, Don, this program is copyrighted strictly for the use of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, or exhibition in whole or in part without the written consent of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation is strictly prohibited.
In this third quarter now, the Blue Bombers trying to get some points with that wind advantage. They've had two great opportunities. Been away with just a field goal. This pass to James Murphy, and he goes out of bounds with a gain of 9. Taken up by Richie Hall.
You know, we see quarterbacks throw quick outs and quick patterns a lot of times. What's the offensive lineman, especially in the middle? The idea is chop them, cut the legs out from under them. That cuts the rush. Watch, 1, 2, 3. They get the hands down in a hurry. That allows Hufnagel to throw it out there without any interference.
Second down and 1. James Sykes breaks a couple of tackles and fights his way out to the 54-yard line. Stopped there by Vince Goldsmith, the player of the week. Pacific Western selection for his 191 yards against Saskatchewan, has 45 yards tonight.
Good job of blocking. I think it was Pat Cantner that led him through there. Good job on Bernie Morrison. Little play action.
Incomplete, intended for Sean Kehoe. It will be second and 10.
What John Hufnagel's doing right now with Winnipeg is get him in and get him out of the huddle in a hurry. Save that time. Only 6 minutes left. I know Coach Vespasiani has to be watching that clock with a great anticipation of seeing it not change. He'd love to have that 18-17 lead going home.
Second and 10, deep throw. Is it intercepted? Yes. Coming up with the ball is Richie Hall. Back at the 20-yard line. Anytime Huffnagel has gone deep tonight, he has badly overthrown the intended receiver.
That one was overthrown. You're going to get a good look at it coming right at you. Now, this is a zone defense. The longer you take to throw the ball, the deeper the zone will get. This time when he overthrows it, Hall's back there waiting on him. Poplawski gets a hands on him, and down goes Richie Hall, but he's got his fourth interception. And that saved him maybe a field goal try or a punt.
When that ball gets up there, I think that plane has a tendency to take it away.
It really sails when it gets up that high.
No room inside. James West is there to make the tackle.
They brought the linebackers that time, and West got inside. He lined up and split the guard tackle gap, and he was able to make contact in the backfield to spill him. So once again, when those linebackers are coming, they have caused problems.
Gary Allen is credited with a 1-yard gain. Second and 9. Clock running, and at 5:27 remaining in this third quarter, Stampeders are clinging to a 1-point lead. Alexander came very close to making an excellent sideline catch going over the top of James Jefferson.
Stampeders were asking for an interference call there on James Jefferson, too, because at no time did he turn around to play the football, but Alexander made a heck of a try to get it. Well, here we go. That's another experience.
This time, Kevin Nealis is back for the third down punt, and he has only gone back to the 40-yard line. That's the Calgary 40, not his own.
15 yards across the line of scrimmage.
They've got 11 lined up, an indication that they're going after this one. Well, it's a short kick, and Winnipeg's Kevin Nealis will field it at the 41-yard line. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are in position with 4:44 left in the third quarter. Only 20 yards that time by Glenn Harper. And Brian, I hope this cold weather and this wet weather in Calgary isn't heading east to Regina. Sunday afternoon, the Rough Riders at home to the Hamilton Tiger Cats. It's a little too early for it to be this cold.
I think it's too early in January to be this cold. I don't like cold weather.
Well, we'll be at Taylor Field in Regina on Sunday. The Hamilton Tiger Cats against the Saskatchewan Rough Riders. The Ticats coming off that disappointing 25-23 loss to Toronto on Sunday when they held a 17-0 lead. Calgary held a 17-0 lead tonight in the first quarter. Now it's 18-17. On the sideline, Sean Keogh is bounced out of bounds by Bernie Morrison at the 34.
With 4 minutes left in the third quarter, I think Winnipeg has to score a touchdown. I don't like the chances going into the fourth quarter when you've got to go against the win. Even with a 7-point lead, I don't think that's enough. So I think they've got to score in this drive and maybe try to get another field goal before the end of the quarter. So if Calgary hangs on, I'd say it goes their way.
Second and 4, Winnipeg. Huffnagel has Perry Tuttle. He's got a first down inside the 25. Winnipeg with that hurry-up offense. They're trying to move it quickly.
They're even in the hurry-up offense, and still Jerome Erdman brings in a play, and they're going to call it at the line.
Again, it's Perry Tuttle. They'll be close to a first down. Stopped there by Ron Hopkins.
Came back with the same play, exact same play. This time we're going to get short yardage for him. So in comes Baby and Cantner.
Well, when Jeff Boyd arrived in Winnipeg last week, many thought that Cal Murphy would insert him into the lineup at a wide receiver position and go with Perry Tuttle at a slot back position. Tuttle is still at at that wideout spot. And Boyd is still not on the roster. James Seitz carries for the first down. Stu Laird was there to make the tackle. Perhaps prematurely we said it was a first down. Referee Jake Ireland has called for a measurement. Cal Murphy yelling at John Huffnagel to get the team in the huddle and get ready to go.
They like to run this play. Cantler leads here, and Nick Bastalia will kick out. This is the play that they made yards on a minute ago. You see Bastalia going out. Cantler makes his block, and that enables him to make the first down, and now Huffnagel's got him ready to go when they blow the whistle.
At the 13, Huffnagel passing, and it's incomplete to Perry Tuttle. It will be 2nd and 10 from the 13.
They've gone after Ron Hopkins deep early in the game. In the third quarter, they've come back and gone after him on the 2 delays and now a quick out. Well, if they catch that, he'd have been down around the 5. I think Hopkins is playing it right, though. You know, make them earn it. Use time off the clock. Don't give them anything easy.
And 10 Winnipeg. And 13 of Calgary. Well, there was a problem there and a mix-up of some sort.
Flag deep in the end zone. I'm not sure that it wasn't something like a delay of the game. I couldn't tell what it was.
Apparently the flag was dropped in error. It will be 2nd and 10 Winnipeg.
And put the seconds back on the clock. No, but I mean, they lost 10 seconds there when that clock was counting down. They didn't run the play, so I saw the Winnipeg. I mean, I said I was watching the Winnipeg coaches all point at the clock.
Huffnagel into the end zone. Touchdown, Poplawski.
That's good concentration. Richie Hall had good position, cut in front, got the hand up. No good. Poplawski got his hands on it, made the catch.
2:19 remaining in the third quarter. Winnipeg in front for the first time.
Under and over pattern. Randy Faby goes underneath. Poplawski comes across behind, just out of Richie Hall's reach. Poplawski pulls it in, and they have a 5-point lead.
Joe Poplawski with the point after attempt. Out of the hole to Bob Cameron. This time he gets the ball down, and Poplawski puts it through. So the Blue Bombers have erased that 17-point deficit that the Stampeders built up in the first quarter.
We're going to have a good fourth quarter because they have got to move the football, both teams, next quarter. Here, we're going to get a good look at the touchdown. You'll see Randy Faby go from left to right, come across underneath. Poplawski coming across the top. He makes the catch, gives them a 6-point lead, still with 2 minutes left. 73, you'll see him go across the screen. A lot of time. Good job of blocking. You know, that front 5 had been getting pressure on Huffnagel, but that time when they had to have it, he had time to throw.
Not a bad night for Joe Poplawski. 18 points so far. A single, 3 field goals, 2 converts, and a touchdown.
He probably thinks now he can win the scoring title. He's going to kick.
Well, it was 7 years ago here at McMahon Stadium that many thought Joe Poplawski's career had ended when he suffered a very bad fracture of the leg. However, he rebounded. That was his sophomore season, and he's been a standout since.
You see how it's still consistent with the China, huh? Fullback's waggling early prior to a snap, and the slot's working too. They will play a lot more man close, so
that's Dwayne Aquina, the defensive secondary coach. I was trying to hear what he was talking about. They got those patterns named after countries.
On the return, Jamie Harris is stopped at the 41-yard line by Roy Bennett.
I thought I heard him say it's a lot like the China pattern. That's what he said, I thought. So I was confused there. I didn't know what that one was.
Well, each club, of course, does have different terminology for its offensive play and its defensive alignments. 24-18, Winnipeg in front. 2:02 the time left in this third quarter. Underthrown was Manuel Tolbert.
Manuel Tolbert looked like he was going to go on an out pattern. Then he plants the turn back underneath Benny Thompson right here, and he slipped and fell. That's why that ball hit the ground.
Thompson is in the ball game in place of Wiley Turner.
Cal had a lot of nice things to say about Thompson today. He likes the way he hits, and he feels that he needs him in there on Emmanuel Tolbert. Try to take him out of the offense.
Well, he does have the size, 6'2", 195 pounds. Bombers have had problems with that Calgary ground game and the running of Gary Allen, but that time they stop him. Stan Mikowas, the nose guard, makes the tackle and forces Calgary into another punting situation. So it's 1:26 left in this third quarter. The Blue Bombers will have the wind at their backs and potentially another scoring drive.
Well, you know, they'd love to put 7 more up there before they turn this wind over, because it is a big, big factor in tonight's ball game. It's been the most of the season that I've seen. It's just, that flag has been straight out the whole evening.
Glenn Harper stands at his own 34-yard line. Again, just one man back for Winnipeg. That's Kevin Nealis. They're trying to get pressure up the middle, and that ball may have been deflected. It's another short kick. Kevin Nealis dives on it at the 53.
You know what, I think Glenn Harper's one of those punters that likes to drop the ball from high up instead of down low. When that ball has to travel that much, the wind is carrying it. He just shanked that one again. I think we're ruining his punting average tonight.
Just 5 yards on that kick. 59 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Winnipeg 1st and 10 at the Calgary 52. Hofnagel under pressure tried to dump it over the middle. It goes incomplete. Harold Hallman got through again.
Well, he was there in a hurry, wasn't he? No problem. They really was in on him in a hurry. Look at those flags. This is something tonight.
Well, it was a calm day. Then after the rain fell at 4:30, the temperature began dropping and the wind increased in velocity. And our last report from the weather office had the temperature at 3 degrees and the wind out of the northwest at 40 kilometers. There's that screen to Sean Kehoe. It has worked well tonight to the 32-yard line. Garrett Dahl brings down the Winnipeg back, but it's a Bomber first down with 17 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Winnipeg in that hurry-up offense.
Well, they love this screen, and I think we're going to see a lot of this in the next quarter. It's a short pattern. It's a possession-type throw for the quarterback. I think we'll see that one.
Hofnagel looking for James Murphy, and again, that ball seemed to sail on. Each time he has attempted to go deep, the ball seems to take off.
Well, I know over the years it's just as easy to throw against it if you throw it on the spiral.
So that's the end of the third quarter, with Winnipeg leading by 6. Winnipeg with a big edge statistically, 274 yards to 131 for Calgary. Look at the first downs. The Stampeders with just 6. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have had success moving the football. Calgary has moved it along the ground with Gary Allen, but Rick Johnson has not been able to throw the ball with any great success. The touchdown for Winnipeg in the third quarter, John Hufnagel to Joe Poplawski. Let's take another look at it.
Well-executed play, well-thrown balls, just out of the reach. You'll see Richie Hall's hands go up, but he just can't quite get it over the top. And Poplawski's pretty reliable receiver. You know what I think is going to be interesting? We keep talking about Calgary. Things should go their favor with a 6-point lead and the wind at their back, but they haven't shown they can move the football real well yet. So Winnipeg can hang in there. If they can move it a little bit, they still have a shot.
Well, the Blue Bombers face 2nd and 10. The ball is at the 32 of Calgary, as the Blue Bombers are now going against the wind for this fourth quarter.
Well, I think Sykes will get it worked out a little bit this quarter, too.
Hufnagel continues throwing. It's incomplete. James Murphy, the target.
Well, they get a lot of pressure on him. Like, he was he couldn't step and throw that ball properly, and we have an injury. That's what the holdup is. Chris Walby is sitting on the ground holding the guy. He's hurt. They're calling for the training staff. Pat Clayton's out there.
It appears to be Harold Hallman. Chris Walby is still down, and now he is able to get out from under Harold Hallman.
Well, maybe we'll get a good look at him on this replay. Hallman's right over the center, goes into Mark Morris. Chris Walby cutting from the outside. That's what the problem is, and that's how he ended up on top of him.
And they were looking at the knee of Harold Hallman. He appears to be in a fair bit of pain out there as the Calgary training staff, led by Pat Clayton, look at him, and Cal Murphy is putting on another jacket. Good move, Cal. I wish we had one of those up here.
We could use it tonight. I still think it's his leg. They're holding that leg really steady on the ground.
Well, on Sunday, the Hamilton Tiger Cats will be in Regina to take on the Rough Riders at Taylor Field. You'll see that game on the CBC television network. Both teams coming off a loss in their most recent outing. Hamilton losing 25-23 to Toronto on Sunday. Last Friday, the Rough Riders were beaten 38-14 by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So Harold Hallman, who has been credited with 3 quarterback sacks tonight, is carried off, and they'll miss him in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, this is one of those things. You'll see Hallman is fighting with Mark Moores, the center. You see him and Moores having a battle, and coming in from the outside, Chris Walby, and just as that leg was planted, he took the hit on the side of the leg, and that could be a serious injury. We certainly hope not. But Hallman has played very, very well for the Stampeders.
Well, let's see how Bob Cameron fares kicking into that wind.
That's what I like. They
Ball
put
is
a guy
grabbed by
outside.
Sampson, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers retain possession, I believe. Let's see where it comes down.
It's going to be an interesting call. It's going to come down to whether the officials saw him lined up behind him, and if he did, they're going to get the football.
He was indeed an onside kick. An onside kick with Bob Cameron hitting that ball high, and Darrell Sampson grabbing it on the dead run.
That's being prepared. They had a receiver out to both sides, and the way that the punts have been coming back, why not? Look at him out there. There's a guy out there. You can't see him just yet. It's Sampson. Now, when the ball goes up, then he goes. He's onside and eligible to catch this football, and he did. Big, big play. But that's being prepared, too, Don.
James Sykes on the Winnipeg first down picks up a couple of yards. Gene Beliveau has moved into Hallman's tackle position, and Stu Laird is playing that defensive end spot.
So we saw Cameron doesn't punt too well with that wind. That wind is tough.
2nd and 5, Winnipeg. On the 16 now, the handoff with Sean Kehoe inside. Picked up a couple of yards, and I think the intent there was to keep that ball directly in front of the goal posts and give Poplawski a shot at a field goal.
If he makes the first down, that's fine. If he doesn't make the thing, it's just as you say, it's in perfect position for Poplawski to kick the field goal.
Trainer Pat Clayton working on the ankle of Hallman. Initially, we thought it might have been a knee.
That's a good sign. I think that he's just liable to be back in this ball game. When they're taping over the shoe, he feels he can come back.
Poplawski will be attempting this field goal from 21 yards out. He puts it through. The 4th field goal of the night for Joe Poplawski, and he now has 21 points in the ballgame. And the Winnipeg Bombers lead it 27-18 with 12:56 left to play. Tomorrow night, Ottawa is at Montreal. Then on Sunday, the top 2 teams in the country meet at CNE Stadium. The Argos hosting the BC Lions. And our telecast from Taylor Field in Regina, the Rough Riders against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Well, things certainly looked bleak for the Blue Bombers when they fell behind 17-0 in the opening quarter. But they have fought back and now lead 27-18. But Poposky is going to have a tough time here, kicking into that win from his own 35-yard line.
This one will see his soccer ability come into play. I think if he can drive this, don't want to get it up in the air. If he gets it up in the air, it's not going anywhere.
That's what he's doing, bouncing it along the ground, and Hopkins picks it up at the 40-yard line. Hopkins up to the 47-yard line, and the tackle is made by Roy Bennett.
Even if he kicks it up in the air, it wouldn't have gone any further than that. It would have went up and hung there, and they would have still had the same place for possession. Work on James Sykes with his ankles taped again. He better get him taped. I think he's going to get a workout in the next 10 minutes or so.
Well, they'll be probably giving the ball to Sykes a fair bit in the final 12:44 of this football game, trying to use up time and keep the ball on the ground. Johnson throwing over the middle, incomplete, intended for Jamie Harris.
Had success with that pattern earlier in the second quarter when they clear the receivers out and then bring Harris from the left side of the field all the way across. This time was just a step too far for him. See Hallman up standing there. I believe he'll be back in next series. That's good.
I'm just wondering now that Rick Johnson seems to be having some problems if we'll see Jeff Tedford.
Well, I think they're going to have to give Johnson a chance. It's tough going against the wind, but I think if he doesn't move him in maybe even this series, we're liable to.
2nd and 10. Johnson throwing deep, incomplete, intended for Harris.
Harris had a step on Jefferson, and when he threw the ball out there, it sailed a little bit also. So it's pretty tough putting that ball on target anywhere downfield.
Well, I think Glenn Harper is breathing a sigh of relief now. He'll finally get to kick with the wind at his back.
The only concern he has now is that the snap from center doesn't get knocked out of the air. But he's got to be happy to kick with the wind. That's got to be frustrating. This is his first year in the league. He hasn't seen that kind of wind before.
Kevin Nealis lets it bounce, and it will roll right through the end zone. It goes as a single point for Glenn Harper of 83 yards, and it's now 27-19.
Nealis made no attempt at all to go get it. I think that was the plan. As hard as that ball's going to be traveling with that wind with it, has no chance but to go out of the end zone. They'll give him one to get that ball on the 35.
If Nealis attempted to field that ball, he would have been back at about his own 5 or 6 yard line. There's a big difference in operating back there or out at the 35.
When you're going against the wind, every yard is important.
11:45 is the time remaining. An 83-yard single, the longest of the year in the CFL. Allman back in there, wrapping up James Sykes right at the line of scrimmage.
Good job by the Calgary defense at the point of attack, which was outside. That forced Sykes to step back and cut back, and when he did, 99 was waiting on him.
This time Richie Hall is down. Left leg of the Calgary defensive back that is of concern for trainer Pat Clayton. Darcy Kopp will come into the game as his replacement. Apparently Paul is okay. He, however, must go out for at least one play.
Still having a little bit of trouble.
11:17 time left to play. Winnipeg leading 27-19.
So Winnipeg now is looking at a 2nd and 10 situation going into the wind. See if they can come up with a first down.
The pass was intended for Perry Tuttle. It will be 3rd and 10.
I don't know. Did you see the ball when it went out of Huffman when he released it out of his hand? That ball went end over end, and Huffman doesn't usually throw those kind. That wind just beat it to death. Well, we'll see if Winnipeg put those guys out on side again, just in case. If that ball's going to go up and hang, they're still going to have a shot at it.
Cameron's punting average will take a whipping in this fourth quarter. Again, they have those two players out wide, onside. This time, a better kick by Cameron. Allen brings it back to the 51-yard line. Stopped there by Vernon Paul. That kick traveled 34 yards by Bob Cameron, and Gary Allen returned to 12. Rick Johnson continues as the Calgary quarterback, clicking on just 7 of 16 attempts. One point earlier in the game, looked as though he was throwing the ball a little better, but he has had problems finding those receivers since.
Well, this is the time for him to do it.
Incomplete, intended for Jamie Harris on the sidelines. He's being covered by Roy Bennett, the corner on that left side. 2nd and 10. Johnson has to start hitting those targets.
Somehow they've got to keep that ball down low, too, because it's coming so hard out of his hand. He's got a strong arm anyway. It's just got that much more velocity on it. You got to get it down where he can, if the ball goes through his hands, he can use his body as a cushion.
2nd and 10, Calgary with 10 minutes remaining in the game. Good protection. Johnson completing the pass to Alexander for a first down at the Winnipeg 37-yard line, and he caught that ball in front of James Jefferson.
Big completion just downfield. Ray Alexander, number 88, is going to come off, drive Jefferson off. Now break to the inside. The ball's down low. Good catch, good reception. First down. Calgary's moving.
Gain of 21. Catch by Ray Alexander. He has scored one of Calgary's 2 touchdowns. Johnson throwing deep, incomplete. Emmanuel Talbert, the intended receiver, he was being covered by Benny Thompson.
Rick Johnson gave a good pump fake. He faked to his left to try to get Scott Flagel away from him and allow Talbot to go one-on-one with Thompson, but Thompson was equal to the task, got his hands on him. Try to look that safety man off. That's what Rick Johnson tries to do. When he's back in the middle, we say look him off. You're looking at him, he's looking at you. He's going to read the quarterback, and the quarterback will tell him where to go. So you try to get him to go opposite of where you want to throw the football.
To the sidelines, and Roy Bennett was covering over there. Ray Alexander, he deflected that ball out of bounds. It will be 3rd and 10 with 8:59 left to play. J.T. Hay will attempt a field goal. Almost every time that the Stampeders get the ball in this fourth quarter with 8:55 now remaining, they should almost be within J.T. Hay's field goal range.
I think they could put 20 yards on it, they'd still be in his range the way things are tonight. He's got a strong leg anyway.
44-yard field goal attempt is good.
And it landed 5 yards out of the end zone.
So it's a 5-point game. Winnipeg leading with 8:39 left to play. 26,184 souls out at McMahon Stadium tonight, braving the elements. A temperature of 3 degrees. The wind out of the northwest at 45, gusting to 60. And it has been a factor in this football game. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers operating against that very strong wind. You have to admire the fans who have sat through this, because that wind is really cold.
Well, you notice they're used to going to football games in Calgary. It might be September, but they're dressed for October. They know what it can happen here.
Well, it comes blowing out of those snow-capped peaks off to the west, and they were forecasting possible snow later tonight. The way that temperature has dropped, you could see some of that white stuff. I remember being here in the spring, late in May during the Stanley Cup playoffs. And they had a blizzard that closed down the city for a day, shut down the airport for a couple of days. Sean Kehoe cutting it back inside, and he'll have about 8 yards before being stopped by Anthony Woodson.
Put all the formation to one side of the field. Huffnagel came out like he was going to throw quick, and then he just hands off to Kehoe coming back. It's not bad because the defense will overshift.
Very important for Winnipeg. Try and pick up some first downs.
All right, and if it does go over, then you get a chance to field it. If you center field it, it's a very good possibility you're going to get. Try to keep you off the ground.
James Sykes looking for the first down. He's got it. Stopped by Garrett Dahl.
Good job of blocking again by Kantner and Nick Pastaya. Again on that sweep that they like to run so much in short yardage situations, and I think that's going to allow the first down, and that's big yardage for Winnipeg.
As you said, James Sykes, in 3 of his 4 seasons in Calgary, ran for better than 1,000 yards. The last 2 years, he's been an insurance policy in Winnipeg, a backup to Willard Reeves. He was on the payroll all of last year, never played a single down. This year, Bombers began cashing in on that insurance policy. Pass complete to Perry Tuttle for a first down, but there's a penalty flag as Perry Tuttle took the throw in front of Ron Hopkins. And it's offside against Calgary. So the gain will stand.
That's just about the way it's been. Cameron warming up, going out, and coming back at you. So he's getting good practice kicking into that net.
Interesting story with regards to Perry Tuttle at training camp. Tuttle was struggling. He didn't accompany the team on a trip to St. John, New Brunswick for an exhibition game against the Montreal Alouettes. But he has improved with each game, and it's going to be very tough to move out of that wide receiver position. Jeff Boyd or no Jeff Boyd. James Sykes picks up a couple of yards. Harold Hallman was there to make the tackle, but Cal Murphy was telling us this morning that Perry Tuttle came into his office the other day and said, "Coach, I'll play wherever you want to play."
That's good to hear because, you know, a lot of times wide receivers moving inside, you know, you say they're receivers, but it's a whole different ball game when you're inside. You're getting bounced around a lot. Some guys can handle it, some guys can't.
James Murphy said, "I'd prefer to stay outside, Coach. I like that fast track." It's intercepted. Coming up with the ball is Richie Hall. His second interception of the game, and he is prevented from scoring by Jerome Erdman.
Well, they went back to that underneath pattern, the one that they had success with in the third quarter on throwing an underneath Hopkins, but this time, watch how many red jerseys are around the football. Going to get a good look at it. It's that little delay pattern when it goes out there. Take a look at the red jerseys. 1, 2, 3, and up in the air. Good catch by Hall, one hand, and up he got. Only Jerome Erdman saved the touchdown. Not any doubt about it. I didn't realize Erdman had that much speed, but he showed good speed coming back to catch it.
A return of 43 yards on the interception by Hall, his second of the ball game. Gary Allen, the ball carrier, cutting inside, and he fights to about the 11-yard line, stopped by Darrell Patterson. Richie Hall accepting congratulations over at that Calgary bench. 5'6" and 160 pounds.
Plays a lot bigger, though, doesn't he? Good hitter. Pretty good defensive back hitting-wise at that side.
Big defensive unit will be tested here. And they respond to the challenge as Stan Mikowas, the nose guard, brought down Gary Allen. A loss in the play of about a yard.
You see the Winnipeg linebackers right here. They're lined up. But this is Scott Flagel. Now, with 3 people coming into the middle, there isn't a whole lot of room. Can't block them all. The 3-man, Darrell Patterson, comes through and makes the hit. First guy to the point of attack. I'm sorry, it's Mikolas is the first guy, but there's just too many people to block him. You only have 3. They've got 5.
J.T. Hay will be attempting another field goal. And this will bring the Stampeders within 2 points if he's successful. 4:30 is the time remaining. Penalty flag. There was movement at the line of scrimmage. J.T. Hay puts it through.
Well, I don't know what they're going to call, but I would call illegal procedure on the center.
The reaction of the Bombers would indicate that the call is against the Stampeders. Referee Jake Ireland lost his hat. Procedure call against Calgary. So they'll move them back 5 yards, and J.T. Hay will try it again. I think some of the problems that the centers are having, that ball is tough to control even down in the ground.
It's tough, and the field's a little bit wet, and it's windy. It's tough to get hold of it. It looked like that it was snapped in 2 sequence, in a sequence. The center moved and then snapped.
I've been in Calgary on some miserable evenings and afternoons. The Grey Cup game of '75, a football game of a couple of years ago between Edmonton and Calgary, where it started to rain in the second half. I think it was in August, and the temperature dropped to about 3 or 4 degrees by the time the game ended.
I remember that one.
Again, J.T. Hay is successful from 5 yards further back. So with 4:07 left to play, it's now 27-5, Winnipeg leading Calgary. Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are in the same predicament. They need some first downs. 4:07 is the time remaining. Anywhere inside the midfield stripe, and J.T. Hay will be attempting a field goal that could give Calgary the lead.
That's right. They need about 3 or 4 first downs, and then if they have to punt it, to try to pin them deep, because I think with J.T. Hay's leg, he could reach this thing from about 55 to 60 yards out tonight. The hard part will be keeping it on line.
1st and 10, Winnipeg. They are at the 35. James Sykes tripped up as he crossed the line of scrimmage by Richie Hall.
Well, you want to watch Richie Hall come up onto the line of scrimmage. Now he's going to come across, and when Lyle Bauer tries to block him, watch him duck underneath and make the hit. Excellent play. Here comes Bauer. He just ducks under. Gets underneath the big guy and makes the tackle in the back.
3:20 is the time left to play. James Murphy was unable to hang on. The ball knocked away by Ron Hopkins.
Good defensive play by Hopkins. That ball was on the money to James Murphy. He got there and just kind of stripped it out of his hands right at the last second.
Well, the other Murphy trying to figure out something for his team in the final 3:15 of this ball game.
Well, they have Ken Haley and Darrell Sampson again, back deep.
They're onside.
Watch it, they won't move either. I mean, they have to be behind the ball when it's kicked. They're lined up there, but if they would run forward, they'd be not eligible. Watch, be behind when it's kicked. Now you can go get it. Great kick.
Excellent kick that drives Jamie Harris back to his own 28-yard line, and he is stopped at the 33. Bob Cameron, under pressure, came through with a 46-yard punt. So we have 2:46 remaining in the ball game, and Winnipeg leading by 2. 2:46 is the time left to play. Ralph Vespasiani at that Calgary bench. Ron Lancaster is probably saying to himself, why does it have to be Bob Cameron kicking into the wind? He's probably one of the best in the entire league in going against the breeze.
One of the best, and also Vespasiani knows him pretty well from coaching him in college and then coaching him with the Bombers. And Cameron does kick the ball awful well into the wind. And that time, you know, There's times to make great kicks and times you don't need them. And that time, the Bombers needed it with 2:46 on the clock. That's all they could ask for.
We saw another excellent kick into the wind on Sunday when the Toronto Argonauts were holding a 2-point lead, almost a similar situation to this. And Hank Alissa drove one deep. There was less time remaining in that game at CNE Stadium than here at McMahon. Incomplete. Off the fingertips of Jamie Harris.
You could almost see that ball curve in the air. Harris ran it out, and the ball started out on the line and all of a sudden swung to the inside of it.
Both benches will be keeping an anxious eye on the clock. If the Stampeders don't get a first down here, they will be forced to kick it away. Johnson is being chased, and it's incomplete. Marshall Toner, the intended receiver.
I think that was a big hit by Ken Haley. But Thompson, I really don't know who it was, but Toner, I thought for sure was going to have the first down. Big one. But right now, Harper can still get him down into range and force Winnipeg to move the football, but that's good effort by the Winnipeg defense.
.228 is the time remaining. 27-25. The ball takes the bounce away from Sampson and goes out of bounds at the 19-yard line.
Well, this is when it all comes down to this series. The Calgary defense has to stop them. Winnipeg's got to make first downs. It's that simple with 2:20 on the clock. Calgary need the ball to where JTA gets a chance at that field goal.
58 yards. The Glenn Harper kick. .220 remaining. Hofnagel attempting to set up the screen.
I thought it was a great call because that's what they've had success with. But you notice those red jerseys didn't go across that line of scrimmage very far, and we're all in a position to make a hit.
2:14 still showing on the clock. Stampeder defensive unit, knowing that if they can stop Winnipeg here, they should give J.T. Hay an opportunity to kick what could be a winning field goal at worst. Intended for Perry Tuttle, incomplete.
Well, they've been running that down and then slammed into the post. And Tuttle went down, started in, and then broke back outside, but just no connection with the quarterback. This is going to give them great field position. They're going to be in field goal position. If they had to kick it, they could kick it from the 55 today.
And if he does put it through, I don't like Winnipeg's chances in the dying seconds of moving downfield to get in position themselves.
No, after, I think what it was late in the first quarter, we could have cut this field off at the 40-yard lines and not worried about it.
Stu Laird is the injured player. He's only in his third year, but early in the season, Bob Vespasiani was telling us in a game he did over in Ottawa how impressed he was with this young prospect.
That's right there says it all. His problem seems to be injuries. The neck injury is something that he's going to have to play with all the way through, but this time he's limping going off. And, you know, when those injuries start to get to you, it starts to take years off your career.
John Coughlin has moved into the lineup, replacing Stu Laird. And again, Winnipeg with two players on side for this third down kick by Bob Cameron. It hangs. No yards called against Winnipeg. Rob O'Donovan, it appeared, had been inside that 5-yard area. So that will improve the Calgary field position. With 2:01 remaining.
You notice those flags didn't come down right away. They come down late, and the reason for that, had Sordanovic not gotten involved on the tackle, he wouldn't have been called, but he went back and did get involved in it, and that cost him the no-yards penalty.
That takes it down to the 27-yard line.
You'd be almost tempted in Calgary's position right here to run two into the middle of the field and let JT have a kick at it right now. Don't wait till too late. Don't gamble. Don't risk a turnover.
Draw play with Allen. Good call, Ron, to the 18-yard line, stopped by Hassan Abubakar.
Well, he kicks this through and they win the football game. Statistics will be all Bonner, but the only place that matters is in the loss column. Right now, they're in great position. Just keep running it. Run it into the middle, wherever your kicker likes it. You should know where he likes it. That's where you want to put it.
2nd and 2. Tim Petras tried to go inside. He stopped at the line of scrimmage. Again, Abubakar made contact with him. 3rd down. Johnson looks over to the bench. They're going to go after it. Hayes wants to get out into the playing field and try for 3, but they're going to measure first.
If they're short on this field, on this measurement, I kick the field goal, even if it's a half a yard. I kick the field goal because if he misses it, he's going to get a single for sure, and he may get another shot, get another single later to tie it. I kick. Don't mess around gambling now.
Well, the Stamps aren't going to take any chances. J.T. Hay is going to try his 5th field goal of the night.
You know, I hate to kick football. I'd like to gamble, but when you look up there, even if he misses this with 1:30 left on the clock, they could still get another shot at another single, but he's not going to have any problem. It's going to come down to his form because he's got plenty of leg. He may kick this clear out of the stadium.
He puts it through. And the Calgary Stampeders are in front 28-27 with 1:13 left to play.
You know, on Labor Day in Saskatchewan, we saw John Huffnagel lead them down the field to go ahead, only to see Pow hit Elgard, and everybody thought it was 1, so they got one shot at it with 1:13 trailing by 1. It's now or never.
Zuber and J.T. Hay following that successful field goal that has put the Calgary Stampeders in front. Intended for Sean Kehoe, incomplete.
That right there shows you how strong the wind is, because Kehoe was wide open and the ball started fluttering and never got there.
1:09 is the time left to play as Cal Murphy sends in Randy Faby with a call. Jerome Erdman comes out.
He almost tempted to throw the same play. He was that far open on that one. Why not try it again?
To James Sykes, trying to get the first down. He slips about 2 yards short.
There's not much doubt about this. You got to go get it. It's going to be a full 2 yards.
1:03 the time left to play. Into the game comes Pat Kentner.
Well, there he is again, Harold Hallman. Well, we've talked about him all night. He gets there just as Huffnagel releases, puts a good hit on him. Well, he has been awesome tonight rushing the quarterback.
It's caused problems for John Huffnagel from the outset. Winnipeg gets the first down with James Sykes out to the 47-yard line, but that takes the clock down to 44 seconds.
Boy, that was a tough play. I mean, he got maximum yardage out of that, but they hit him right at the point of attack. Garrett Dahl really closed it down.
Off the fingertips of Perry Tuttle.
Well, they come back to that little delay underneath. I'm looking for him to come up and pump that delay and send that, I think it's David Taylor, send him down the field, and let's take the shot at the long one because they're really biting on that delay right now.
37 seconds left to play. 28-27.
Yeah, they can't afford to get first downs. They need big plays now. You got to try something.
Second down. John Kehoe is brought down over on the far side of the field by Anthony Woodson.
Good play by Woodson to keep him inbound. Didn't allow Kehoe to get to the sidelines. So they're down to 32 seconds, and they've got 55 yards to cover. But the first problem is they still need another yard for the first down.
Under normal circumstances, if they got down around the 40-yard line, they might just be in field goal range, but not against this wind. James Sykes gets the first down inside the 50. 23 seconds is the time remaining. Dave Ponder made the tackle. Winnipeg continues to shuttle players in and out.
They got it loaded up over here. They got 4 receivers to this side. They hit screen.
To Perry Tuttle. Tuttle trying to get to the outside, down the sidelines, forced out of bounds at the 26 with 14 seconds remaining.
What scares me, Don, they still would have a hard time kicking the field goal from this far out. They need to hit another one.
Randy Faby comes in with a call as Jerome Erdman goes out. 14 seconds remaining. Winnipeg with a first down at the 26 of Calgary.
Take his time now. The clock's not going to start till the snap. Tuttle has a good play, well executed.
Hand off to James Sykes. Sykes dives down to the 21. 10 seconds left.
I'd run it again.
Bernie Morrison made the tackle. There's an injured Winnipeg player.
Randy Faby's the injured ball player now.
Ten seconds showing on the clock. The ball at the 21-yard line. The executive producer of CFL football is John Spaulding. Our CBC coverage tonight produced by Larry Brown, directed by Ron Harrison, and Mo Waters, our isolation director. It takes a lot of people to produce a telecast, and we have a number that we thank for their help and assistance in making it all possible. Dave Naylor at CFL Control, putting together our halftime shows.
I think we ought to thank that cameraman that's been up in that wind tonight. I've been watching him down there. He hasn't had an easy job. Well, I'll tell you, 10 seconds left. You got to run Sykes again, try to get what you can, get down and kick the field goal and come down to the one play and see what happens.
Joe Poplawski has already contributed 21 points to the Winnipeg attack tonight. 10 seconds remaining, 28-27. Perry Tuttle down at the 5-yard line, just missed.
You know, if he catches that, he probably scores. That's a well-thrown football in and out of the hands. 7 seconds. Don't tell me they're going to do it again.
Well, they might have time if Perry Tuttle is hurt. He's still down at about the 3-yard line.
Don't want him hurt. They need to throw to him this play. If they throw it again. 7 seconds. I think Coach Murphy's going to cut it very, very close here if he doesn't kick the field goal here.
Well, he might even try and punt for a single point.
You know what? I just got thinking about that. They're only one down.
One down. They could force overtime.
Well, they got Poplawski there. He put him down the tee. So far, we haven't seen very many punts go that far. He'd have to kick from back about another 5 or so yards. Got a timeout who? Calgary.
Calgary has not dropped anyone back into the end zone. And Winnipeg initially lined up in field goal formation.
They better have somebody back there because they got to get the ball out of the end zone. Okay, this is when you get Harper and anybody else that can kick the football back there if they have to, and you put a couple guys short that if they can catch it, they can run it out. But I don't think I'd worry about it being too deep.
Now Murphy now calling Bob Cameron.
There we go. Harper, Hay, both going into the ball game.
Well, Harper now is going to drop back into the end zone, and J.T. Hay is going to go back there with him. So in the event, if the field goal attempt is wide, they have 2 people back there ready to kick it up.
I'd have one more guy sitting underneath that crossbar in case it's just short that he can run it out. They got a long way to run. They can kick it out of there, I think, with no problem.
From 28 yards out, Poplawski. Field goal attempt. It's wide. No yards in the end zone as the ball was touched by a Winnipeg player. I believe Sean Kehoe touched the football.
I don't know what he was thinking about. No yards in the end zone, you don't get a point.
That's right. Sean Kehoe, I believe, was the player in the end zone who touched the football when it was bouncing. And that will do it. 28-27, the Calgary Stampeders move into a tie for 3rd place with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Well, you see the ball bouncing back. He was afraid it might have bounced out and he was going to keep it in there, but that's illegal. The ball was never touched by a Calgary Stampeder.
Well, this first down play for the Stampeders is strictly academic.
Matter of formality. They're going to snap it, ball down, and go home with a 1-point win.
Big win for the Stampeders. Enhancing their playoff hopes as they move into a 3rd place tie in the West with Winnipeg. 2 teams trailing the Edmonton Eskimos by 2 points. After 4 straight wins by Winnipeg, the Calgary Stampeders finally come up with a triumph, a big one, 28